Cheerio. It's your favorite dude from the other side of the pond.
Your favorite, we're your favorite DEI hires.
We are your favorite DEI hires. It is White Oprah and Black Gail, or was it Black Oprah and White Gail? I can't remember it was Black Oprah and White Gail, I think.
I think that's what it was. It's just, we're whatever.
We're DEIing it all the way through. I'm going to let you finish show number 215 on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
And we are going to talk lots of good stuff. And we have a fabulous guest coming on in a little bit. Our wonderful friend, Miss Tammy Faye Starlite, is going to talk about all things Marianne Faithfull. But before we get to that, Courtney, I don't drink, as you know, and I'm really starting to think that was a stupid decision. Now I need it. But if I were to drink,
I picked the perfect time to basically give up drinking. So it's like, are you kidding? Is all of this happening now?
Really? Well, maybe I can convince you to go back to drinking with Garden State Distillery. It's a dirty martini vodka, which actually sounds kind of good. So it's
okay. I'm in. Did they send us a bottle?
Our listeners, if you go on their website, gardenstatedistillery.com, you will get 15% by mentioning IMMA 5967, and it's okay. So it
what's
tastes
the website?
like
Tell them what the website is.
GardenStateDistillery.com.
Gotcha. Okay, great.
And it sounds crazy, but it actually sounds fascinating. It's oysters from the Jersey Shore, seaweed and salt from Barnegat Bay. It's like a dirty martini and Bruce Springsteen all at once. All in one. You can go under the boardwalk and get over the limit when you're driving. Anyway, Garden State Distillery.
I don't know. Go over the limit when we're driving.
No, you don't want to do that. But what you do, you know what I meant. You know what I meant.
And trying to sell some alcohol. And please make sure you go over the limit.
Over the limit of excitement. That's what I meant. But Garden State Distillery. It's been a long year. Garden State Distillery. 15% if you mention IMMA 5967, and so Delish. And hello, I'm back.
Hello, hey. Hello from the other side.
So a couple things happened this week in terms of entertainment. On Friday, they were the Fire Aid concerts, which were fundraisers for the victims and the rebuilding of Los Angeles, and and they were held in 2 arenas. From what I saw, I didn't watch a lot of it. It was streamed on Hulu and Amazon, and of course, I didn't know that.
I believe.
Yeah, it was everywhere, right? And they raised a lot of money. Music Cares and other places raised a lot. I just
hope there's no red tape and it goes directly to the families and the people who need it, like in Altadena. Because, we always hear these things, right? Where a lot of money is raised and then it's like, where does this money go?
This seems to be under control. They seem to have it like in hand, because also Music Cares is involved as well. I will say this.
Let's hope the people of Altadena are being fairly included in all of this,
It's all of Los Angeles that has been impacted by this. Yes, it is. And it's the fires of, but what I will say is that I could go a lifetime without ever seeing the Red Hot Chili Peppers do anything. They're horrible human beings. They're scum of the universe.
You say that every time their name comes up. You will like.
Listen to me. Get to know a few women in this industry, okay? They are scum of the universe, or especially that horrible porn star lead singer of theirs. But they are a Los Angeles band. But I saw Pink. The Pink performance was fantastic. She really, I know she's not underrated, because she's obviously not underrated, but I don't think people realize how great she really is. She really, really. Anyway, so it's raising lots of money. You can still continue. They threw this thing together very quickly, so I have to give kudos for that. And then, of course, there were the Grammys last night. All right. I just want to go say one thing. I think he's a very bright guy. His book, Born a Crime, is a really good book. He's a terrible host.
We're going to start right here where I do not
He's a terrible host.
I have never understood people's fascination with Trevor Noah. First of all, it was amazing when, I don't know, LL Cool J used to be the host of the Grammys, and then they got rid of him for Noah. And I'm like, so we're going to get rid of the music guy who really knows this. But okay, great. Let's just not.
Well, the thing with Trevor Noah is that he's very bright and he's very political, but for some reason he gets up there and he turns into a quivering mass of fanboy. And if I heard that's amazing, that he's just, he just doesn't work. He has no personality. He really doesn't when he's amongst the people. So he was the weak spot. Obviously the Grammys had to walk a very fine line because they're holding a show, an award show, in the middle of a disaster zone. And so the focus of the show was very much, it was a telethon, even though they said it wasn't going to be a telethon, but in a lot of ways it was a telethon. And it opened up with, it was sort of funny because I Love LA, Randy Newman's I Love LA is a very sarcastic, sardonic song.
Right.
It's actually about how messed up LA is. But anyway, what did you think of the opening? What did you think of how they handled everything? What'd you think?
I will be very honest with you. I watched the pre-show because I always watch the pre-televised cast that comes on online because the majority of the awards are given out there. And I actually want to see who's winning in their categories. So I always find that more interesting than the fact that they've turned the Grammys into, yes, they want to say a celebration of music, but it was literally almost 30 minutes before they actually gave out an award. So it's like music's biggest night, we'll give you an award at some point in there. And then there were certain clues to me that gave it away. When Cardi B came out to present the first award and it was Best Rap, I knew Doechii was going to win. I was like, all right, she's the last woman who won it. It's going to be a woman. It's going to be Doechii. I knew she was going to win. When Taylor Swift came out to give the best country album.
That was the biggest tell of all time.
I was like, okay,
come on. Yeah, I mean, a blind man could see. At first I went, wow, Beyonce is the greatest actress of time, until I read that she was seated 5 seconds before the award was announced.
Yeah. So there's certain parts about it where it's like, here's again where it's a television show. And they're giving you a television show. It was fine, I guess. I fell asleep. It went on so long that I actually fell asleep. I woke up and Beyonce was on stage speaking, and I assumed that she won Album of the Year because I had fallen asleep and I knew what time it was. And I just went back to sleep. I was like, well, I'll figure it out in the morning. I enjoyed what happened in the pre-show, right? I love to see that Samara Joy, who's from Uptown, won 2 more Grammys. Sierra Farrell, who's an Americana artist who I was not aware of, won 4.
Oh, she's really, really good.
4 Grammys.
Really
so that made me put her on my list. I'm like, you know what?
She's really good.
Check out her music. So it was really good for things
Michelle
like that.
Michelle Ndegeocello won a Grammy.
Yeah, I saw she was there. She came out during the pre-show to accept her Grammy.
I thought there were some great performances. I really do. I mean, all right. It's a very weird thing when first off, the way it was shot, because you have these people having to pretend like they don't notice they're amongst each other. It was really interesting. Taylor Swift was there from the beginning of the show, way in the back, being really, low key. This sneaky, this like, we're waiting for Beyonce to show. This is why she drives people nuts. Come to the show. Why are you making it about your secret entranceway? Okay. I thought that Doechii was fantastic. It was a fantastic performance. I thought Chappell Roan was spectacular. I thought she was great too.
I thought Doechii and Chappell were the tops. I didn't see Charlie XCX.
I did. I saw Charlie XCX.
How was she?
I saw it today. It was great. I mean, they were doing a thing where they started her off like in a hallway and they were moving. It's really weird. They were
like her tour. That's the way her tour kind of went.
Yeah. I mean, they were both I thought Billie Eilish was great, but Billie Eilish is always great.
Yeah, she sounded really good.
Sabrina Carpenter is one of those people. I like the singles, but there's something about her I can't get into, but she actually was quite enjoyable. She was kind of playing the Betty Boop character. It was fun. I thought, why didn't Beyonce perform? I'm sorry.
She hasn't performed on the Grammys since Lemonade.
Right, but you know what I mean. I'm just, but.
Well, I will say this. with her, it's intentional, and she's probably in tour rehearsals because she announced the dates, and this tour actually starts in April. So knowing her, she was like, I'm in full tour prep. I don't have time to really prepare. Well, those performances, really, the planning for all of those people, you kind of know it takes a second. And if you're kind of prepping a tour the way she's prepping tours, I can see where she's like, I don't have time to do both. I just did the halftime situation. I'm not giving you two back-to-back TV situations.
Well, I thought
pay your ducats to see me sing.
Yeah. Well, I really thought Chapel Run was just, Doechie's performance and her speed, lumping all the best new artists together was a little kind of like, we can go a lifetime without seeing Brendan. What's his name? Benson Brune? Brendan Brune?
I thought he was great.
But what is he? What am I looking at?
He's a showman. Listen,
with one song. A showman with one song.
No, he's got more than one song, but listen, you're the best new artist. Sing the song that everybody knows. And that's a great song. And I actually love that he's bringing some showmanship to it, right? We have the boys who sit there with the guitar. We have the guy who can croon into the mic. I like that he's going to do a backflip and give me a old school all-in-one cat suit, I love it.
HR from the Bad Brains did backflips better than anybody.
Okay, HR from the Bad Brains, they were always an underground band, right? They're not pop.
Yes, I know that. I thought Ray was great. Yeah. I thought she sounded, okay. Who the fuck invited, why was Will Smith there? And why was his child wearing a magic castle on his head? What is wrong with those people?
You know what?
What is wrong with those people? What is wrong with them? I need this explained to me. What is wrong with them?
I guess that, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and all of that. But I'm like, so we're back in the Will Smith showing up trying to be charming. Because it's so funny how I don't hate Will Smith. Let me just start by saying this. I don't.
Okay.
But I'm still not ready to see you. I don't care if people don't like Chris Rock. You slapped another man on television. You acted a plumb asshole. And now you get to come back because Bad Boys Part 86 was a hit and be like, hey, it's still me. I'm like, that act doesn't work anymore. The tarnish that you put, I look at you now and I'm just like, you're a dick like everybody else. Why am I seeing you? I don't need to. There's a lot of people who could be up here talking about Quincy. And yes, Quincy produced Fresh Prince. But there's so many people who really musically he touched that should have been up there doing that.
He had nothing to do. Yeah, Quincy's involvement in Will Smith's career is minuscule compared to Quincy's involvement in other people. What do you think of the Janelle Monáe?
And it's not really went far because I understand. Will tells that story about being at Quincy's house and that moment where Quincy really facilitated him, like, you need to do this thing right now about him getting that job, and the guys were there. I get that. But it was like,
who cares?
Where are the people? This is the music night. Bring out Patty Austin to talk about Quincy.
Or James Ingram.
Or Saeed. Or have them and have them together talking about it and then going into the musical moment,
Yeah, I don't... all right, so and his son wearing a castle on his head. Scientology is a bad drug, man. It really is. It's a bad drug.
So here we are. I'm going to put a castle on my head. And I was just
I'm going to walk around with a castle on my head.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
Of course you are. Of course you are. You're going to walk around. All right, so... A lot of people, let's
talk about. Let's go to.
That's what I was going to do. I just going to ask you what you thought about Janelle Monáe because some people are not happy about it. The pause says everything. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I enjoy her at times. I understand why people like her, and then there's sometimes with her. Where the cosplay of it all at times. I'm like, you've been everybody. You're Michael Jackson, you're Prince, you're everything. You're becoming the Black Brandi Carlile, where it's like, I will be everything. I'm every woman. for real, call me. My booking rate is on the website. That's what it's starting to feel like.
Yeah, I saw it the next. I mean, we're not. This is people were kind of like, really, we're cosplaying Michael Jackson. A queer woman is cosplaying. There was just so many elements of it that felt a little ick. All right, so when Beyonce won Country Album, surprise, because they ushered her in 5 seconds ahead of time. She's a very good actress, because I actually fell for it for a second that she didn't think she was going to win.
Actually, I think that she probably didn't think she would win Country. I will say that. I think that she was actually, like, I think for her trying to fight to be like, I'm going to make this record, and even though they submitted and they got the nomination, I'm going to say she probably thought that she wouldn't get it, because I thought she wouldn't get it. I really did. I thought it was going to be either. I thought it was going to be either Lainey or Casey. I thought
it was going to be Casey.
Even though I saw her win when she lost in a couple of country categories on the pre-telecast, but I saw when she won for Most Wanted, a country duo tune with Miley Cyrus, and I was like, that could have been the thing here, but they're never going to give her album. So I was actually surprised that she got album. I really was.
I just thought it just seemed, I mean, to be cynical, like you have Taylor up there.
As soon as Taylor came out, I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
Reproducing the I'ma Let You Finish moment.
Right.
I thought once they gave her Country, that meant, all right, that's a done deal. They're not giving, this is her really good consolation prize. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm not surprised she won Album of the Year, because to be totally honest, this entire album was made to win Album of the Year. It was like the musical equivalent of a really beautiful actress wearing like prosthetics and playing a Holocaust survivor. I mean, it was like, give me the Academy Award. So it's a very good album. We've discussed it, but it was a dare almost to the Academy, like turn me down for this one, because there'd be no excuse. But I think it was
more about the Country Music Association and the way she was treated there than it was. Because remember, this album was recorded before Act 2, the dance album. But she decided to put the dance album out first because she thought that might make, coming out of the pandemic, just how it's going right into the country, it might be easier to ease everybody in with, okay, here comes my Black gay record, and now I'm going to go into a country record, right? Which makes sense to me. So
yeah, sonically, yeah.
Listen, what do you think? What do you think about her finally winning this award? Because the press, this is what I don't like about it. Now, a lot of the press that I've seen today around it is, she's finally won it. And it's always with the caveat of what Jay-Z said last year. And to me, it kind of puts that kind of cloud around the album. Like, did she win it because this is the album absolutely should have won it? Did she win it because such a stank was made about her never winning it? So it's like, let's give it to her. Because I think it's a strong body of work, right?
It's a very strong body of work. But you could also say why, Martin Scorsese gets a Lifetime Achievement Award instead of winning the Oscar for Goodfellas, right? At some point, people go, it's a very good record.
And then he finally wins it for The Departed, right?
Right. I mean, it's a very good record. Do I go back and listen to it? No. Do I think that Chappell Roan's record or Brat summed up the vibe of the world this year? Very much so. But I think it's a prestige record.
Yes.
She's an established artist. Mm-hmm. It's making a commentary. It makes the Grammys look hipper and more inclusive than country music, because they've always had a weird kind of like back and forth with each other with the CMA and the Grammy. I mean, look, I'm not surprised. I mean, I would have been surprised if freaking Andre 3000 won. Then that would have been like, come on, now we're going out of our way.
I wasn't expecting it, because remember that year that Herbie Hancock won for his Joni Mitchell album, and everybody didn't see that coming, right?
Yeah, but that's Herbie Hancock.
Absolutely, but there were so many really huge records, and people did not see that coming.
Well, they didn't see the Steely Dan win that year either.
They didn't see Beck coming when everybody thought Beyonce was going to win. So, listen, I was really happy for her. I'm like, Can we change the narrative now on this story?
Yeah.
She is the most awarded person. I hated that hair, but hey, who am I to comment?
The hair. She looked like, it's not a good look for her.
I was like, between that hair and the dress, she just felt very wild. I'm like, this is the night you win. This is going to be the photograph I get.
This is not. It was not her finest moments, fashion wise. Let's put it that way.
I wanted a little more glamour. This is giving.
Is she shopping at the House of Darion again? Is that what's going on?
No, we love her.
Yes, but that was
great. But I was like,
she looked amazing.
Yeah, listen, I'm really happy for her. I think that, I'm really interested because I didn't have time to really dig in to see what the country response is to her winning. I'm sure the racists, and I'm not calling country people racist, but I'm sure the people in that community who
I haven't read anything. Those people are hopeless, though. You know what I mean? Those people are hopeless.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about Kendrick.
Won everything he was nominated for.
Okay.
Every award he was not, from the video. And listen, you cannot deny it. That song is such a bop. And even now, still, after being sick of it, because it was everywhere, when it was coming on last night, I found myself doing the body rolls. I was like, this sounds good.
I mean, I love Good Luck Babe in terms of songcraft, but I 100% understand what this won. And I have to say, first off, it's the first diss record ever to win a Grammy. It's the first record that's the subject of a defamation suit to ever win a Grammy. And if Drake ever thinks he's going to be able to come back when an entire audience of your peers is singing along A minor, I think Drake, maybe the tariffs will keep Drake out of the United States for a while. And
he's on tour in Australia, so he wasn't here when all of this.
Yeah, of course. But The Weeknd showed up.
Yes, because they always do, sweetie. Even the ones who are always like, fuck the Grammys and I don't need that shit. Oh, my album came out on Friday. Let me go on this show and sing some songs. They always do. Remember, Drake was like, fuck the Grammys, fuck the Grammys, fuck the Grammys. And that next year, when he won, came right out on stage to get his Grammys. They all won it. It's like Spike with the Oscar. Fuck the Oscars, fuck the Oscars. Till they were like, in the winner of Spike Lee, he ran up and jumped into someone's arms.
Jumped into his arms.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, we all want to say fuck that thing that we really want because we don't have it.
You know what I thought was great? So obviously this is their Naris's concession to people going, everybody going, the 13,000 members of the recording. I was like, are we have a head count now of everybody?
Yes, they want to remind everybody that it's not 6 people in a room.
Right,
they kept trying to be like, so when you're not happy with this, your peers voted for this.
Is it me, or did Diana Ross seem to have no idea what award she was giving out?
Was she there?
Yeah, Diana Ross gave the Record of the Year award.
Oh, I missed that part. I was sleeping.
Yes.
Those were the last awards. I was done. I was knocked the fuck out. Yeah.
But I think...
Does she look great?
She's Diana Ross. She always looks good.
Yeah, okay.
Kendrick Lamar, either Record of the Year or Song of the Year.
And it was after 11:30 because I fell asleep, so I have to watch. I have to watch the last. Yeah, I saw he won Song and Record. I saw all of the wins during the pre-show, and I saw this morning, because this morning I just read the recap and saw that he won them all. Yeah.
Shakira was extraordinary.
Oh, nice.
You didn't see it? You didn't see the Shakira performance?
No.
Oh. It was so good. First off, the woman is 48 years old, and she looks. You could bounce. No, it's a great, great, great performance.
I saw when she won. Yeah, I saw when she won.
She performed. She's one of the few people who I was very surprised at how apolitical this was.
Miguel and I had that discussion today, and I was like,
except for Gaga. Gaga said something.
He was like, they're artists. They're supposed to. I was like, we're in a different generation of these artists. They're so scared. They don't want to be canceled. They're all scared. It is not like the old school ones who would get up there and risk it all and have some shit to say. Like, nobody's even made a protest song. All of the things that are going on, and we don't even have a new protest song really from it.
Well, Gaga mentioned trans kids, which was good. In the package before Chappell Roan, She talked about being gay, which is important. Doechii certainly alluded to Black women and struggle. And then Chappell Roan, of course, gave that amazing speech about the record industry needing to take care of artists.
Yeah.
But no, everybody was very timid. Trevor Noah made 2 very stupid jokes about immigration, really stupid, insensitive. Like, come on, really? Like 20 million illegal aliens voted for the Grammys, and 13. Shakira said something about it.
Yeah,
Shakira said something.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I wasn't expecting to be rah rah rah, but I was a little kind of like.
I look at the artists that we have now, and it's like you see the ones, and you know there are ones up there who would never come up, and they're not going to say shit. Right, because they don't.
Really? I think Chappell Roan would. You don't think Chappell Roan?
I said other artists. We can't talk about people who got there and actually said some things.
Right.
And here's the thing. Chappell Roan had something she really wanted to say. You lose the message if you start talking about the treatment of artists, and then you moved on to this subject, right?
No.
It was very smart that what she had to say, talking about from her experience of being someone who signed, how she felt treated and dropped, and only to come back and be the sensation. And the reason why I think she didn't win those other awards is, even though I think she's really great, it's very targeted, right? Of who really likes Chappell Roan.
Yeah,
everybody across the board was into this Kendrick song. Young, old, every nationality, every race. Everybody clicked into
it. It was an anthem.
Yeah.
That's why I thought maybe her only competition, even though I love Good Luck, and certainly she's a phenomenon. I mean, that word is overused, but Chappell Roan's ascension. I thought maybe Charlie XCX, because that became such an across the board.
But also, it became,
but she's still very niche.
But she's also still, like, we're talking 6 albums in to finally get the moment for her. And even still now, I really appreciate her. But when I listen to this record, it is a very specific, young, clubby, and very, to me, if you're like a queer kid, this is like, you know, she's your Nirvana right now.
Right. And this, I thought, somebody kept saying I keep thinking the song is called Nespresso too. It's espresso.
Espresso, yeah.
But Nespresso works too. Many critics said she should win Album of the Year. Beyonce will. So I gotta listen. I did not listen to the whole Sabrina Carpenter record.
She won Best Pop Vocal Album. I think she won the thing that she was supposed to win.
Yeah, I didn't listen to, but I'm very happy for Kendrick, and it was also perfect because he's an LA guy, and it was like a very much. Obviously, the industry is LA centered. Eventually, a lot of people end up living in LA, but it was very, Doechii really captured Chappell Roan. It was a really good night for women, which is, I know Beyonce's speech. She thanked Linda Martell. I know that, and now it's done. Beyonce has won. We can all breathe a sigh of relief. Life will go on. And we can all watch our neighbors get deported. You know,
we're going to take a break right here and come back and finish talking about the Grammys. We'll see you in a second. Toodles. And we're back.
I think you need a clam flavored dirty martini. A dirty martini's got all the good stuff in it, right?
The briny.
Well,
is from the
again, GardenStateDistillery.com, 15% off. It sounds really, really yummy. You get a little taste of Jersey, a little taste of vodka. It's local. It's artisanal. Lord knows we all need a cocktail right about now. So GardenStateDistillery.com, Amma5967, you get 15% off. Oh, and I want to give a thank you to our Pantheon pals at American Wolf in London for inviting me on to talk about the Sex Pistols. That was fun.
It was
to remember that.
Yeah.
To remember that. And Candace called me up. She goes, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you said all that stuff. I'd forgotten a lot of the details about it, you know." Oh, wait. He's like, I have to go get a beverage. I must get a beverage. Oh, candy. Oh, we're on the candy.
A Spree.
What's that?
Spree. They're these hard candies. They're almost like, the best way I could describe them is like a coated sweet tart.
Oh.
But not the tart part. I love Speed. They've been around since like the 70s.
Wait a minute, like chocolate coated or sugar hard candy? Hard candy coated. My friends of mine were in Holland and they brought back one of my favorite things, which is that really salty licorice, the salty black licorice. I do enjoy that. All right, so what else? Have you listened to the Weekend record? I have not listened to it. I didn't even know.
You know I'm not a fan of his, really, right?
Yeah, me neither. Okay. I like it better when you...
It's so funny.
When he first, singles.
Way back in the day.
When he was doing cocaine music?
And he was mysterious and he would drop those mixtapes. I really enjoyed that.
Me too.
Just not my taste. Like, glad for him. Glad he does these big records. I could care less.
Yeah, I thought that it was just a little... They're super catchy songs. They're great. I mean, yeah, I liked him better when he was a little enigmatic, like drugs and but this is supposedly his last record as The Weeknd, right?
Supposedly. Well, no, this is the last in the trilogy. This is part of a trilogy of records.
Oh, enough with people and their concepts.
Are you going to go to one of the 4 Beyonce shows at MetLife? She's doing 4 shows at MetLife.
No. I mean, if someone invites me, yes. I'm obviously not going to pay $700 to go see her. I mean, come on. I have to buy eggs.
But for that same $750, actually.
I mean, what if I want a cup of coffee and some eggs? I have to take out No, I will see her if someone presents me with a ticket. Of course I will see her. But I am not, I'm sure you will, I feel like I need to keep my running thing of not having seen her except for a track date in Miami with Destiny's Child. No, this is going to be an interesting tour. I wonder if it's going to lend itself to as long as shows as she usually, is she only touring on this album?
Well, we don't know because, she doesn't really give, it's the Cowboy Carter tour. It starts April 28th and it ends, it's a short tour. It ends July 11th. It starts with 4 dates at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. Okay. 2 dates in Chicago. 4 dates in Jersey. 4 dates in London. 2 dates in Paris. 2 dates in Houston. 2 dates in DC. Then 2 dates in Atlanta, and it's done.
You don't think she'll add more dates?
I don't know. I actually think probably not. You know what I mean? It's like, hit it and quit it.
Yeah, and hit the key cities.
Because clearly she's not doing like the last tour. Renaissance went literally around the globe.
I mean,
I think this record is more specific, and I think she's keeping it really sort of. These are my strong markets. Hit it, quit it. She'll probably make $1 gazillion from these markets.
I think actually a country record would do even better in Europe because England, they love American, they love all this kind of stuff. I mean,
and they love it in Australia. I would have been interesting to see if she would take it, to Australia.
She might. I mean, she might want to see this is going to be, I mean, I'm not saying this in any mean way. She's not 30. So this is, it's a production. She's got kids. This is much more of
I think it's more about the kids and she's only 43. She's still being, in her prime as far as performing. Yeah.
She's only 43.
She's only 43. Mm-hmm.
But I think, I think, look, it's going to sell out. The next thing to look forward to now is going to be the Super Bowl. I mean, that's it next
Sunday.
week.
This is Sunday. This upcoming
Listen,
Sunday.
He's riding a wave right now. I mean, he is. I want to see what the next record is because
and how really smart brings SZA. And SZA because they're going on tour, right? So that's boom. Right. Here it is.
Yeah, it's his next move is going to be fascinating because, considering how he started and then how his public perception of being like the thinking man's rapper and political, and then to do this like straight up FU song and then do the Super Bowl. It's really interesting because his persona, Kendrick's persona was so much, we going to be all right. And every time students write about political rappers, they always mention Kendrick and J. Cole. Well, I mean, he's not really doing that kind of stuff. He's playing the Super Bowl. He's doing a lot of he's finding a very interesting middle ground between speaking out about who he is, but it'll just be interesting to see what happens at the Super Bowl, the game I don't care about.
Well, I still think he's doing the thing that he does best, right? I think he's just taking it to a bigger stage. He has a bigger megaphone now, right? So with the bigger megaphone, you're still doing your thing. And I'm like you. I'm very curious because this is supposedly, I believe I heard at one point, a second album coming.
Oh, there's got to be.
I would be very interested to hear what that will be.
Yeah, he's got to be. This record, Gen X did well, but it didn't blow the roof off the way his records usually do. Yeah,
but so many things are. It's so different now with it. Just more and more as we move further and further into these streaming records. The person who seems to be able to maintain that kind of madness is Taylor Swift. But look at what she does. She puts out 855 versions of an album.
I know.
Like each week it'll be like, and it's this edition, and it has this part. Like she keeps sweetening that pot, so it keeps that record at the top of consciousness to everybody and her fans.
I mean, never in a million years, if you were to have asked me 15 years ago, who is going to be the most dominant ever? Not to say she's not talented, but I never would have picked this one.
Isn't it mind fucking? I never would have been like, well, clearly it's Taylor Swift.
Right. I just thought she's this cute kid who writes cute songs. I will say this, shout out to Rob Sheffield once again for the success of your book. Reading that book, all the things that used to drive me nuts about her, now I understand. The getting up and dancing and then being she is a fan. This is sincere. She's a genuinely nice person. And maybe that paid off. Maybe she just hit, there was an opening. There was no one who was speaking to these kids, right?
And here's the thing. You can't make it up. Like it is an organic thing that, it's an organic thing when people become that huge. Like, you can try to set them up for success, but how it clicks with an audience is just not something you can make up. You just can't. And there's something about her lyrics and her. And it's always, we've talked about this. I compare her to Madonna because in Madonna's prime, Madonna was not the best vocalist. You have Madonna and Cyndi who come out at the same time. Cyndi Lauper is the vocalist.
Oh, yeah.
But there was something about the way Madonna tapped into culture and just grabbed everybody's attention. It was a way that you just can't make that up. And it's the same thing with Taylor. There's something about her that has grabbed people across generations, nationalities, races, people who don't even speak English. It's like there's something about her that people really are drawn to.
And we just have, and then, she's attainable, even though she's completely unattainable.
And I also think that she's got the type of songs you can sing and sound like that. You know what I mean? It's not hard to sing her songs.
Anybody can sing like Taylor Swift. Not everybody can sing like Beyonce.
You can sing those songs and you can sing your heart out and you feel like it is it hits you and it can resonate in a certain way.
All right. We're going to have a guest coming up. Do we want to?
Yeah. We have a guest coming up. She'll be on right after this. I guess, should we take a second break? You know what? We're going to take a second break. And we'll be right back with the iconic downtown chanteuse, Miss Tammy Faye Starlite, who's going to really honestly... Oh, hey, Amy, happy birthday to Lucian from Albert. Today is Lucian. He's texting because, it's today's Albert's birthday. They share the same.
I know. I forgot it. Albert, happy birthday. I have to text them right now. That's so funny.
And we will be right back with the elusive chanteuse part 2, Miss Tammy Faye Starlite. Great, Tammy.
Oh, you
do.
I put on a little foundation and I was like...
I have a little maquillage on too. You know, when we know when we have, and Courtney's also wearing a little foundation. We've all decided to spruce
beauty.
up.
My local makeup artist in Secaucus, Dina, who is amazing, and she has the powder foundation that sometimes I use. So,
well, you're doing a very good advertisement for it. Well, everyone, Tammy Faye Starlite is one of our favorite people and was one of our earliest guests when we were just a little dog and pony show, and now we're a pony and pony show. And
a pink pony show?
A pink pony show. How great was that performance?
Yeah.
We are a DEI pony prancing down the streets of New York.
We are nothing but DEI. Oh my! That's the hip hop song I want to hear. You down with DEI? Yeah, you know I. Anyway, Tammy Faye Starlite is a performer, is an artist, is a chanteuse, but she is also a woman who for many years has done tributes and beautiful homages and full out concerts of iconic, and here the word applies, singers, Nico and Marianne Faithfull. And so when Marianne passed, I'm sure I'm not the only one.
First person I thought of.
We both, and I know that is both ghoulish and a tribute at the same time, because when I was trying to think about when I had seen Marianne perform, I am not lying to you. I went, oh yeah, I saw her at Joe's Pub once, and then I realized that was you that I had seen.
Oh my God.
But I did see her at BAM. I did see her play at BAM.
Oh, that must have been great.
The Kurt Vile shows when she did the Kurt Vile music.
So I have some questions about her, not to cut you off once you finish that. I really do.
Oh, no, please. I saw her, I think, first at the Bottom Line with Jim Carroll opening for her.
Oh, Lordy.
Which was fabulous. And then I saw her it was at Hunter College, like the auditorium. And I remember during the second song, which I think was Come and Stay With Me, I think, and she just said something that became my mantra, which was, we fucked up, now we're free. But, wow, that's it.
What year was that she did Hunter?
Oh, that must have been like somewhere in the early aughts, maybe? The very early aughts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Courtney,
here's my first thing. I discovered her with Broken English, right? So Broken English, which is seminal in her catalog, but I didn't realize until after that, there's this whole life in this woman who had a completely different voice, the whole Rolling Stones and everything. I didn't realize that she actually had success with her very first album in the US, and it charted at number 12. So take me to the beginning of her and why she was such a sensation and why people were so interested in her from the beginning.
Oh, well, I mean, she tells the story so often that it's codified. You know, how she went to a party at, with, I think, I forgot who it was, Antonio.
Her husband, she was married when she was 17.
Yeah, John Dunbar, who was her, I think, fiance at the time. And she went and she said, and she has said this, I wasn't dressed up and I was, didn't have any makeup on and my hair was down and I wore one of the shirts that John's sisters gave me, but everyone stared at me because I was so beautiful. And so, and I was sitting talking to John, and the manager of the Rolling Stones, Andrew Loog Oldham, came up to me and he said to John, because he didn't talk to me, he said, Marianne, can you sing? And he said, can she sing? And John said, Marianne, can you sing? And I thought, and Andrew said, I think she has a face that can sell records. So Andrew then apparently, according to all the legend, there might be some discrepancy. He told Mick and Keith, who were his proteges or, producees at the time, to write a song for her. And according to her, she said a song with high walls and no sex, like The Lady of Shalott. So they wrote a song and they called it As Time Goes By. And Andrew Oldham had to tell them that there's another song called By.
Somebody beat it to you, Mick.
Yeah. There's a little movie called Casablanca that you might want to check out at some point.
Yeah.
It didn't have VHS, so what are you going to do? Let alone streaming. But they changed it to As Tears Go By, and they gave it to her, and she had also recorded, I think, a song by Lionel Bart, who had written Oliver, but that didn't work. But As Tears Go By worked, and it just kept ascending the charts. And I think it was that lilting, kind of, there were, even though she had that high soprano, there was still a little cry in it. There was something different. It wasn't this pure thing like Joan Baez with, she had a little vibrato, but there was, it's hard to describe. There was something, even then, when she was so pure, even though she was pregnant and sleeping with, Alan Clark.
Everyone.
Please, and
everyone.
Yeah.
Just say everyone. Just say everyone. It's fine. I mean, and what's wrong with that? I mean, but.
Exactly. So there was something almost damaged in her.
Well, there's a vulnerability in her voice that you can hear even then. And it's also the production of that song. I mean, here's this beautiful not a waif but this beautiful angelic ethereal girl. And it's got it sounds like the song has harpsichords in it. It is the most antithesis of what was going on in London at that time. It's so what the hell is this?
Oh, and it was violins and an English horn and the cor anglais, and it had everything. And then she just kind of kept going like that with singles that Come and Stay With Me that were kind of poppy and sweet. This Little Bird, which was a John Loudermilk song, which was also very it's haunting. It's haunting, and it's there's something a little macabre about it. It was written about based on something in Orpheus Descending, the Tennessee Williams play, about a little bird who, once when it lands on the ground, it dies. And that's kind of, in a sense, Marianne's whole life. When she started taking drugs, I think, fairly early, like pot fairly early, and then with Mick, acid, that she had the famous drug bust in 67, I think, or 68. I think 68, where she was found wrapped in the bearskin rug, and she flashed the cops. And so that's when her image started to tarnish. And I think that's when she kind of started to chip at heroin, according to her, around the time when she was playing Ophelia in Hamlet with Nicole Williamson, and she would do it before the mad scene to give it that little extra bit of, and it worked, and she's beautiful. Yeah. The film is gorgeous, and then you just hear the kind of the voice change when she does that song in the Rock and Roll Circus, Something Better.
Right, yeah.
Barry Goffin, Barry Mann song.
There's something so quintessentially British about her because she came from a moneyed background. She was not like a working class kid. I mean, a family of intellectuals, but there was, this is old school Britain where they read Percy and Shelley, and, that she was of the rock and roll generation, but she was also such a throwback to a time, a Noel Coward character in a way, in a time where, to the manner born, in a really weird way. She was this really weird mix of gentility and manners and the right fork and the right spoon, and then she's a junkie sleeping on the streets. It was a really weird juxtaposition about her.
She went to Catholic school. Her parents divorced when she was little, I think when she was 6, because her father had started this college called Brazier's College, which was sort of an early commune. She compared it to something like that's in Iris Murdoch's The Bell. It's just, and, he invented this sexual toy, and her great uncle was Leopold von Sacher-Masoch, who wrote Venus in Furs. So, she had that masochistic streak in her, which explains her relationship with Mick, obviously. And although I don't think he was that bad to her. I mean, he might not have been great, but he did care for her. He eventually paid for her mother's cottage, for the rest of her life, her mother's life. And she broke up with him, essentially. I think it kind of soured her when they all slept around, but when he slept with Anita Pallenberg, who was her best friend and his best friend's and Keith Richards' girlfriend, when that, I think, damaged the relationship. And she was pregnant then, and she had lost a baby. So I think that kind of soured her on him, and she just didn't want to be part of that whole aristocratic grasping scene that he was so into.
Well, and he also got more from her. She kind of molded him in so many ways. It sort of drives me nuts. I'm sure, when women die, the first two lines of the obit are inevitably who they slept with. Now, obviously, she is very much associated with the Rolling Stones, but she would have become who she is without the Stones, I think. I really do. I think that,
Maybe. I don't know if she... I'm not... She could have. I think because she had it in her, and she had the literacy, and she had the smarts. Her voice might not have changed if she hadn't gone through all the horrors and the addiction and the homelessness and the, vacillations. It might... All the cocaine, like that. It might...
Yeah.
So... and I think... Because it's true, her initial fame was not due to... it was actually... That's silly to say because they wrote the song for her. So her initial fame was due to the Stones, but it was also her voice that carried it. So they're almost intertwined. She gave him The Master and Margarita, from which he composed Sympathy for the Devil, and she inspired You Can't Always Get What You Want, and a lot of songs like that. And...
Did she ever get writing credit on the stuff because she wrote Sister Morphine, right?
She eventually did. She tells the story that when Sticky Fingers came, she had recorded Sister Morphine earlier in '69, and with Mick playing guitar, and I think Jack Nietzsche was on it, maybe Ry Cooder, and it didn't go anywhere because her voice had already changed a bit, and it was a woman singing about drugs, and nobody wanted it.
No, yeah, you can't have that.
No. But when it came out on Sticky Fingers, she went to look at the record and there was no credits. So eventually, I think she wrote to Alan Klein, or she wrote to Keith Richards and he wrote to Alan Klein. I think it was through Keith that she ended up getting... I don't know if she has writer credit now, but she has been getting royalties from it.
Right.
Why do you think she's important?
Because I think... primarily because of Broken English, that busted open so much. It was like this feral kind of rage, but also this, this kind of frayed and decadent beauty that came through in her voice that didn't sound like anyone else. There were blues singers, blues women, but she was something different. She was like just a raw id, on that record. And that, I think, propelled her to more records like Child's Adventure with Barry Reynolds' beautiful song Times Square.
I loved Child's Adventure. First of all, I love the Broken English album. I think
but Child's Adventure is beautiful.
That's where I discovered her.
Yeah.
And, and I think for me, it's what you said. I like artists who just I can't neatly fit in a box.
Yeah.
They seem to be doing whatever it is they're doing. And that, I was really drawn to that. But a Child's Adventure to me is it's an underrated record. No one talks about that. People talk about Broken English, but they never talk about A Child's Adventure.
That was the first one I got because when it came out in '83, and that her voice just blew me away because I was such a Stones fan that I listened and did everything that was ancillary to the Rolling Stones. And so I got into Graham Parsons and country music. That's why, when I was 16, I went to see, I grew up in the city, so I went to see at Town Hall. It was like a blues show, like Willie Dixon.
Oh, wow.
Wallace, at Town Hall, which was a young Robert Cray, like a baby Robert.
Wow.
It was because, the Stones like Willie Dixon, I have to go see. And it was, so I read about Marianne Faithfull, and her voice the imperfection of it, and the kind of sandpapery quality, and it was like pink powder or something. It was just, and those, the songs like Blue Millionaire or on that, or even the song Ireland, which is beautiful, or the one She's Got a Problem, which is, just aching. And I think, and this is just my opinion, but I think she is the premier Brecht viol interpreter.
Yeah.
I like her.
Well, like Lotte Lenya and her, basically.
Yeah, Lotte Lenya and her, and I, in a sense, prefer her voice to Lotte Lenya's. I mean, I love, and she did too, and she is Austro-Hungarian on her mother's side, so she has that in her. But her version of Pirate Jenny is just
so great.
It's so great. It's so
those shows at BAM. You were saying, Courtney, like, what is it about her? And I think a lot of it with Marianne. Anger, men don't understand women to begin with. They certainly don't understand women's anger. And anger, when it's coming from someone so beautiful and so intelligent, is sort of like, it was easy to dismiss a Courtney Love because she was crazy, But someone like Marianne, who was so intimidating. I mean, that I met her once and she scared the living bejesus out of me.
That's why I was like intent on befriending you and Anthony DeCurtis because of that 4 on the Floor interview, which floored me.
Yeah, she was intense. She was but she suffered no fools. But when it's almost like her looks, she was so beautiful. And as she started to age, as we all do, and she had very, very poor health. She almost died from COVID, right? I mean, that was, it was the worn inness of it. I mean, her life was all in her face and all in her throat. Yeah. I mean, it really was. And that's hard for people, especially men, to deal with, to look at somebody who's been ravaged like that, I think,
Yeah. I think, Courtney, what do you think?
I would say there's an intimidation with certain men with really, like, she's got everything, right? The appearance of being strong.
Yeah.
The appearance of being strong, right? Because I think that we can all be strong, but that's an appearance. Beautiful and strong, I think, scares some people because that's like, I can't live up to that. Look at her face, and then she's going to challenge me mentally. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I think there's a little bit of that. And listen, she was like, to me, she was a rock and roll chick. That's scary to a lot of people too. Sometimes certain men just want a housewife. They want that woman who they know can be, well, she'll be at home, she'll be doing these things. She was the type of woman who you knew walked into the room and she was going to get the attention before you do. And for certain men, that is like, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be the one who everybody's kind of drawn to. But I was drawn to her just, I don't know, there was just something.
No, she was a very compelling
figure. Certain people
figure.
have an aura. And I was like, who is this woman? Why is she singing these songs? Like, I watched her performances from Saturday Night Live again over the weekend.
With Bowie, I remember that.
The ones, her solo, but she was on before when she was on doing broken English in her songs. And and she could, and it was like, when she was trying to hit certain notes that are on the record and her voice was kind of cracking, but still I was like, this is fascinating. It was fascinating.
It was like, coulda come.
Yeah. And certain words were just not coming out of her mouth. Yeah. But it's still fascinating to watch it.
Yeah. And, I think she said that she had done, or it was reported that she did a lot of cocaine the night before. Mm-hmm. So,
always a good idea before you go on live television.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent idea. It's good on the vocal cords when you go on live television.
It really works.
And obviously broke and then blazing away. I did not see the shows at St. Anne's. It's one of those regrets. I have many.
Me too.
I found the record, like her Spiritual Children, the record she did with Nick Cave and PJ Harvey, of course. The Warren Ellis record, the one that I didn't realize I was playing. She's not able to sing at that point. I mean, that is basically a spoken word record, but she is so much the sonic mother of the Nick Caves of the world, of these people, very literate, she was her own mythology, I felt like, in so many ways, She
really was. And she was, I remember in that Four on the Floor interview that, she said, well, I have a mystique or something like that. And you just said, work that mystique or something.
Yeah, she had no use for me, Courtney.
Yeah, oh, really?
No, tell her, Tammy, what she did. I mean, it was really like, keep in mind, first off, I'm like, oh my God, it's Marianne Faithfull. So I'm literally like, oh my God, it's Marianne Faithfull. I had just seen her perform at Windows on the World. She did this show with Mary Clayton, her, and Darlene Love.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, no, I know.
What?
I know. It's like one of these things is not like the other times three.
And
so one woman who can sing her ass, two women who can sing their ass off, and Marianne Faithfull. And it was the most bizarre show. I don't know who put this together. Yeah. It was an amazing show. I don't remember what they sang. They must have done. But anyway, so Marianne Faithfull's on the show, and I'm just like, humana. Take it away, Tammy.
I wish I remembered the thing, but everything that you said, she denied and then repeated as if it were her own thought, as if it were. So everything, like you could say one thing, you'd say, well, I think it's this. No, it wasn't. It was this. And then she'd say exactly what you said. And
well, especially if the guy said it. If the guy said it, she agreed with them.
Well,
when I said it, I was like, and I'm just like shrinking.
So she wasn't a girl's girl.
Well, she may have not been an Amy's girl,
No, a girl's girl would never. We know the girls who are not girls' girl. That's not girls. We know, and she comes off like a broad. I can see her being like one of the boys, and girls being like, yeah, okay, I see you, chick.
And I think Scott kind of shut her down because she was talking about drugs, and she said, don't you think it has something to do with controlling the poor? And he said, well, if you want to get into that kind of, discussion, she was like, well, like she would not get in. She wouldn't go any further than that with Scott.
Right.
Well, because British white people know better. They're not going to argue about anything with a black American guy on American television. They're not stupid, Yeah. The other funny thing about Marianne was we had her on the show, and then about a week later, Darlene Love was on a show, and Darlene Love is literally sunshine and light and lollipops. And I, again, was sitting there like, oh my God, Darlene Love, I love you so much. And we said something about Marianne, and Darlene says, she's got big tits, right? And I went, well, yeah, come to think of it. Yeah, she actually does. Yeah, she goes, she's really stacked, right? I went, well, I mean, yeah, actually, come to think of it, she is quite
I think about
blessed in that department.
Like Andrew Oldham said she was an angel with big tits.
Yeah.
Hey. So.
No, yeah. She was very it's first off, you have retired you haven't done Marianne in quite some time, right?
Well, I did 2 shows of her at the end of 2023. There was there was a Variety article by Chris Willman about it because I did a tribute album to her that came out in 23. It was called The Faithful that Tanya Pearson did. And so there's a lot of people like Cat Power and Peaches and Tanya Donnelly, a lot of Adele Bertay, Cynthia Ross.
I love Adele.
Faith, Felice Rosser. And so I did Lucy Jordan with Barry Reynolds playing guitar. It was just me and Barry. And so I did that. And then I did a show, basically 2 shows at Pangea, which were very... they were short, but I called it songs that I inspired. And it was songs that Marianne inspired. So I did it And then I had her, for some reason, I had her really taking aim at Patti Smith and getting into the Patti Smith history of being a, not a feminist. And then eventually I kind of morphed from Marianne briefly into Patti Smith and then back into Marianne. And
I'm trying to get a visual of that. I like that.
I don't know why I had Marianne going off on Patti, but
it seems like she would go off on Patti, and Patti also strikes me as somebody who's not a girl's girl either.
I think Patti's less, and they got along. Apparently, Patti wrote a poem for her when Marianne almost died in '69 or something like that, and I think, there's certain women that I think that she accepted. She was really good friends with Penny Arcade.
Oh, okay.
And she was friends with her assistant, Kate Hyman.
Right, Kate. I know Kate. Yeah.
And I think, she had women friends that she wrote about, like Henrietta Moraes. And I think she was friends with Valley Myers to a degree. And certainly Anita was still her. There's a great Ruby Wax episode with Anita and Marianne and two guys that I don't know who they are, two English guys, and it's hilarious because Marianne is all in, like, she's like this, and Anita's like this. She's like, I don't know,
Isn't that didn't they play themselves in Ab Fab too, where there was like a dream sequence?
Yeah, Marianne played God and Anita played the devil. So,
Courtney, did you see that Anita Pallenberg documentary?
I have not.
Oh, it is. You've seen it. It's so, Courtney. It's so good. You would. It's on the streaming.
Okay.
It's really, really good. And she's another one of those those women. Do you think that would you revive the show? I mean, after a decent mourning period,
I would. I did the entire Broken English with the whole, connecting it to the 7 Deadly Sins and Dante's Inferno. Like, it was long. And I would have to, I think I should shorten it, but I did that in 2019, and I had known previous to that she didn't like what I was doing. I knew it.
Oh, really?
I knew it from Milner because he had told her when I was first doing Broken English, because I did it at Lincoln Center and then at Joe's Pub. And she said to him, she's doing Broken Biscuits. Why can't they leave me alone? And I thought, oh, all right, I'll stop. So I stopped. And then in 2019, or right at the end of 2018, I was like, Broken English is coming up on a 40th anniversary. And I knew her nom de Facebook at that point. She was still on Facebook. And I wrote to her saying, would you mind Broken English? And she answered me and she wrote, do it, darling. It'll be great. And I thought, oh, okay, then. And so I did it. And then I was at Penny Arcade's one time, because I love Penny, and Marianne called her, and this is gonna sound self-aggrandizing, and it probably is, so whatever. But
aggrandize away.
The producer Russ Titleman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking with Russ one time. We were having tea, and said, I'm doing a record with a pianist, and I need someone to read Blake over it. And I said, Marianne Faithfull. It has to be Marianne Faithfull. He's like, oh, you're right. I was thinking of Meryl Streep or Emma Thompson, but no. And he said, how do I get in touch with her? I said, well, don't use my name, but go through, I don't know if I told him Penny or Hal or something, but she did it.
Oh, wow.
On there. And when she called Penny put her on the phone with me and she said, I want to thank you so much for recommending me, and then she said, I'd love to see your Nico. Like, she didn't want to see okay, so I sent her a clip and she said oh, great, but I don't know if I wouldn't watch it. Why would anybody like
I mean, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I think, we live in this weird world, where we, like, people that are hugely important to us don't mean anything to anybody. It's like, it's like, what do you mean you have never seen this person? What do you mean? And obviously it's the New York Times, so it's like, it's the media thing. But I was very pleasantly surprised at the placement and the articles about her when she, I mean, I'm not pleasantly happy that she died, obviously, but there was a lot. And I was glad that they looked at her from a fashion point of view, because you can't deny that, from a musical point of view, but they really put her in real context. And it was good to see that she was not just, some chick who slept with the Stones, you know?
I think so. She was such
Didn't Jim Farber write? Jim Farber wrote the obit.
I think so. Yeah, he did, because he's great. I love him.
I know. Yeah,
he's great. And yeah, it was really beautiful, and it's still kind of, it's strange. Like when these celebrities that we love, or musical stars, when they pass, it's like, we just realize, we did, like, I know people felt it with Bowie and Prince. We lived in this world with them for a little bit of time. And that's what it feels like. We lived in this world with her. And there was something otherworldly about her. There was something mythical. You know, she was always into the myths and Boudica and the goddesses. And you know, she had her mystic sensibilities. She, I think at one point, Kenneth Anger put a curse on her.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
And then she...
Come on.
It's hilarious, because me being Jewish, you know, this is hilarious to me, but she said, she wrote in her book that, because her grandmother was Jewish, her maternal grandmother. So when he put a curse on her, he wrote, "You Jew like Kirk Douglas, you Jew like Kay." And I thought, wow. Good going with your knowledge, Kenneth Anger.
Right. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lucifer Rising. Right. Do you see
I have a question.
I'm sorry, Courtney.
Was Vagabond Ways kind of seen as a return to form for her? I seem to remember around that time, and she had made a record, I want to say the year before, but wasn't Vagabond Ways kind of seen like a return to form for her?
I think so. At least to me it was, and because it was really, I thought it was beautifully produced, and it was after she had done the Brecht Viol and the Seven Deadly Sins, and I think it was after the Seven Deadly Sins, although I can't be sure of that, but it was definitely...
It was after. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, you know, some of those songs, because she wrote with Barry Reynolds again, who has become a dear friend and frequent collaborator, and he is such a beautiful songwriter and such a sensitive guitar player for her, because he just goes where she goes. And the songs that they wrote together are gorgeous. And, you know, he had a hand in the music to Why'd You Do It, because he had put the reggae on, because he was part of the Compass Point All-Stars. And, you know, Barry played on all those, like those 3 Grace Jones records. Mm-hmm. So and you can just hear his influence, and she just had such beautiful songs. Like Vagabond Ways, I think, is stunning. I think the Roger Waters song is stunning. Incarceration of a Flower Child, which is a song that he apparently wrote for Syd Barrett, but never gave it to Pink Floyd or anyone, and he gave it to Marianne. So she does it. It's really, I should have put it on the playlist, because it's really...
I'll put it on. Give me the name of it. What's it called?
Incarceration of a Flower Child.
Okay, I'll put it on.
And it's gut-wrenching. It's...
all right, I'll put it on.
Yeah, it's...
Do you hear her in anyone these days? I mean, I know that's such a, like, everyone is own, but is there anyone who embodies her in some ways, do you think?
I don't know. You know... The one that I hear the most in the newer singers is Amy Winehouse. Like, I think, and maybe Amy had a kind of, I feel like Amy might have been influenced by Diamanda Galas and by Marianne, and certainly by Billie Holiday and Bessie Smith. So, but I think Marianne is in there. I don't know about any of the actual younger ones, because I think either they go all airy like Sabrina Carpenter, or they just kind of go full power pop like Chapel Roan, or minimalist like Billie Eilish. And I even think Billie Eilish has there's something Amy Winehouse influence, like post Amy Winehouse about her too.
Yeah, Amy Winehouse, I mean, just she was girl groups. Those were her biggest influences. The girl hip hop, jazz, and girl groups.
Yeah.
But I think it's the woundedness. There is, again, and this is not, women are not allowed to be wounded in the same way. Men are allowed. It's romantic when a guy is like sort of passed out on the floor.
Right.
Maybe,
Speaking of which, I'm sure you watched the Grammys.
Yeah.
Why is the first image they show of Liam Payne like leaning against a balcony? I'm like, that's how he freaking died. Don't show that, him leaning against a balcony, like saying,
"Oh, I didn't even see the in memoriam." I all I know is that, do you know Julie Farman? Do you know who she is? She used to be a publicist. She's hilarious. She does a running thread to all the award shows, and it's first off, she was trashing the Red Hot Chili Peppers because they're scum of the universe. But it was like, ladies and gentlemen, coming up next, Chris Martin. And we're what?
Oh, God.
Bless his heart. Bless his heart.
I will say that, back to the topic.
Sorry.
I do think that it's fitting that her final album, She Walks in Beauty, that title, and that it was pretty much, I remember at the time, praised by all of the critics across the board on that album.
Yeah, it was.
So I love that the last piece of body of work that she did, people really showed their appreciation and they loved it, and it was written about so beautifully.
Yeah, and it really was kind of, in a sense, back to basics for her, the Romantic poets.
Right, yeah.
Keats, and I remember her talking about on Four on the Floor about
Coleridge.
Coleridge could have done so much more. Like,
sometimes, I mean, Americans, but you're sitting there going, I read like Langston Hughes and By the Shores of Gitche Gumee, and she's like going to, no, and that's Warren Ellis again, who's that beautiful, I think she worked well. I mean, I think, Courtney, you touched on it. She's one of those, people wanted to work with her because they knew that it was not like working with anybody else.
Yeah.
This is why you get Jarvis Cocker. This is why you get Nick Cave and all these people, because it was not going to be like working. You were going to touch some of the magic and some of the pain, and that's that's what great art is, right?
Yeah, I think that's why I think PJ Harvey would be someone who was influenced by Marianne vocally, although PJ Harvey is a kind of different range, but working with Damon Albarn and Billy Corgan and
all those artists that it's hard to just put in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to sum up Marianne because but she never lost the quality of her work. She never did anything that was blatantly commercial, that was embarrassing. She didn't God love the Rolling Stones, but the Hackney Diamonds thing, I love them to death, but
they won a Grammy for it last night.
Well, and so did the fucking Beatles, for crying out loud.
Yeah, for that.
You notice when we did the recap, I skipped over that. I was like, did that just happen?
Yeah, it did happen. Yeah.
I was like,
a song that they didn't write, that's AI'd with only,
that and the Hackney Diamonds both have me turned, because I watched all
right, I want to go on in defense of that album. Okay. It was actually a pretty good record.
It is.
Yes.
But who was the competition in that category?
I like the one that Paul McCartney plays bass on, Bite My Head Off.
Yeah.
But
that was not a horrible record. It was not the equivalent of Jethro Tull winning the Heavy Metal Award. Okay. It was not. We have to give the Grammy. We have to let Grammy do Grammy.
Yeah.
They get to do that, and then they get to give Kendrick all the other awards. Okay. Yeah. We have to let Grammy be Grammy sometimes.
Right. And
we can only hope for the best. Tammy, what is coming up with you? What would you like to plug?
Oh, you're so sweet. But my band, all all-women band doing Blondie's Parallel Lines at Joe's Pub on March 25th.
Okay.
So,
and it's called the Pretty Babies, right?
Yeah, it's our original lineup with Linda Pittman from the Baseball Project and Steve Wynn and B.B. Farber, who's played with Richard Lloyd, and not to name men because they're incredible women, Heidi Lieb and Monica Falcone of Sit and Spin, Jill Richmond Johnson of the Aquanettas. So it's fun. It's just, I think, I don't know, 1978 seems like a better time, maybe.
Well, it certainly was for me because I was younger. And Courtney was still in junior high, bless his heart. You were in junior high in 1978. Fuck you. Yeah. I just did this thing on Pantheon. They have
actually
78.
That was right before. I was right before junior high.
Lordy! I'd been out of high school for 2 years. These guys, we did this. I was interviewed most memorable concerts, and then I talked about having seen the Sex Pistols with Bob Merlis, who took me to the show, which I bring up every single time, and. They were like, "Oh yeah, that's amazing. We were like 5." And I go, "All right, we can stop this right now.
Oh my God.
You have to stop doing this. You don't tell women how much younger you were when you've invited them on your show." Anyway, All right, on that note, my love, we thank you so much. As always.
Honored.
We thank you for your musicianship and your artistry, but also just for bringing Marianne to a lot of people who might not have known her. And I think it's a really,
you're very,
as our people would say, it's a mitzvah.
Oh, well, thank you. To Marianne Faithfull, it was a shanda. But
and we'll mitzvah you kids next week. We'll see you next week. Bye.